Don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. We talk New Orleans Saints. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints Week 6 matchup. The Saints head to Houston to take on the Texans, a team that is 2-3, but they aren't playing like it. They're led by quarterback C.J. Stroud, the second overall pick in this year's draft, and they have a very young team, and they're hungry, along with their rookie coach, DeMeco Ryans. The New Orleans Saints quieted a few critics last week, knocking off the New England Patriots by a score of 34-0, pitching a shutout. Second straight year, the New Orleans Saints get a shutout on a team. Last year was the Vegas Raiders, led by Carr. And this year is the New England Patriots. We know that the New Orleans Saints defense is one of the best in the league. They have been since the season has started. Yes, they had some up and down games, but nevertheless, they're pretty consistent when it comes to playing defense. Well, the Saints, they have to take on a very young Houston Texans team, and they may not have a bunch of players that you know about or household names, but this is a team that plays together. Like, if you watch the Houston Texans play throughout the season, there's not one individual where you can just kind of focus in on. It's one of those situations where, you got to be able to play disciplined football, as much as you possibly can. As Tajay Spears, I'm actually watching the last few minutes of the Tennessee Titans game. Like, Tajay Spears broke off a big run there. So shouts out to Tajay Spears, former Tulane Green Wave. But anyway, I think that the New Orleans Saints have to be focused in this game. I know it's like games like this where the New Orleans Saints can't really focus on one particular person defensively. It kind of gives them a hard time. I know they got Nico Collins. He's the star wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. He has 467 yards this season. But if you look at some of these other receivers that they have, it's kind of hard to just zero in on one particular person. And I noticed that the Saints secondary kind of struggles in games like this, especially even guys like Marshawn Lattimore, where, Nico Collins isn't a household name. So, sometimes you can play a little lax if a guy doesn't have his name on the marquee. This is one of those games where the Saints got to be disciplined with their tackling. Dameon Pierce, he's a guy who can, he can get downhill and he can run you over. And you also have Devin Singletary as a good complementary back for the Houston Texans, and not to mention C.J. Stroud, who hasn't thrown an interception this season. He has 1,461 yards, 7 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 98.4. And that's exactly what you need right there. So the Saints are going to have to play discipline if they want to win this football game. Also, what we need to focus on is offensively. This is something that I've been waiting for. This is the game that I am really looking at to see if the Saints offense has really truly turned the corner. Last week I said I'm not really concerned about the Saints playing the New England Patriots because I'm pretty sure I was pretty sure that they were going to play the way that they did. Everybody pretty much ridiculing the offense, talking about P. Carmichael needs to be fired. So they pretty much stepped up, right? And because, they were being very reactionary. People talk about you, make fun of you, make you laugh. And all of a sudden, like, oh, man, I'm about to show you I ain't no joke. So Pete Carmichael goes out there and he puts together a really good game plan. But what happens now, people are like, okay, man, maybe we got something here. Now the critics kind of calm down just a tad bit. They settle down a little. So what are you going to do? Are you going to step up and try to replicate some of the things that you did last week? Or are you just going to kind of just go back into your hole here? This is the game to me that I feel like you need to decide whether you want to go in a different direction as a coordinator or not, because this is the issue I have with the New Orleans Saints. It's the up and down and inconsistency of the offense. So hopefully these guys can get involved. Chris Olave has been having a few quiet weeks. I mean, he should have had a touchdown last week, but that's another story for another day. I would like to see Chris Olave step up in crucial situations, catch the football when necessary in some of those tough spots. That's one of my biggest gripes on Chris Olave. He has all the tools to be a really good receiver in the league, but it's just sometimes when it comes to like some of those tough catches, he just does not come down with it. And sometimes that you got to have a want to when it comes to it. You gotta say that I am better than you, and I'm coming down with this football no matter what. So I just think that if they decide to really, step up offensively, then I think that this can be a very good game for the New Orleans Saints. But I'm really keeping a close eye on this game as far as what the offense is going to do, because even though they put up 34 points last week, there still was a lot to be desired. And I want to see if they're going to be able to build on some of the momentum that they had offensively from last week. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and we'll go ahead and go from there. This comes from Paper Chase. It says Saints going to come out scoring fast. If we keep Texans in game, we might lose. Look, I don't know what you've seen as far as the Saints coming out scoring early. I mean, that's wishful thinking in my opinion. I mean, what have they come out scoring? I'm like, to be honest with you, like how often do the Saints score in the opening drive? Usually it's 3 and out, or they might, do something ridiculous that gets them off the field. So, I mean, that's wishful thinking in my opinion. From what I've seen from the New Orleans Saints, they don't score an opening drive. I hope you're right, though. I hope that when you come back at halftime, you saying, TJ, I told you they were going to score an opening drive. But I really don't see the Saints really doing too much of that. I'm at the game today, says Lamar. Well, hopefully you have a good time, man. Hopefully you have a good time. Let's see. Kamara will have 2 runs over 30, over 100 rushing. Hill will get used a lot, and Carr will throw 2 touchdowns to Mike T and Chris Olave with no interceptions. Well, I hope so. I hope that they are able to build on this offensive performance that they had last week. I still see some things that Derek Carr needs to build on, but it was his best game last week in a Saints uniform as the quarterback. Derek got his Jordan swag today. He is going to go off. I hope so. Let's see. Texans will be a decent test, way better than the trash Patriots team. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't really looking at the New Orleans Saints as far as what they're going to do, against the New England Patriots, because, like I said, I just felt like all the scrutiny that Pete Carmichael has absorbed, all the scrutiny Dennis Allen was as far as him losing the locker room, people not really sure about him as the head coach. They're very reactionary. Like that's the one thing about the New Orleans Saints coaching staff. They're very reactionary. The problem is they're not very proactive, right? I feel like sometimes they play their best football when they hearing whispers and people are really trying to kick them about the door and people are threatening to not go to the football games. That's when I feel like they really start to step up. And I just, man, that's just not the move, man. I just feel like you need to be consistent. You shouldn't have to worry or wait for somebody to tell you how bad you suck in order for you to step up. So, like I said, things have been quiet around the Saints home front this week. A lot of monkeys have been removed from the backs of guys like Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael for at least 1 week. What are they going to do and how they're going to respond? Are they going to be able to, I'm not saying go out there and score 41 points, but if you can go out there and execute offensively to a certain point where you're actually putting at least 24 points on the board, then I think that we can say that they kind of are turning a corner here. But if you go out there, man, and we still kicking field goals left and right, and it's just a Blake groupie performance, then I think you pretty much know that this is what it is. This is what your New Orleans Saints are going to be. Like, we're going to be like one of those teams where it's hot and cold. You look good 1 week, you stink the next week, and I don't have no time for that, man. I really don't. Derek is going to make a lot of family and friends in the stands today. He isn't going to disappoint. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people got a lot of hope and stuff like that in Derek Carr, but I haven't seen much of him to a point where I just feel like he can just put the team on his back. to me, Derek Carr in the Saints uniform is a game manager. And as long as that defense can be consistent and they can run the football, I think he can maybe, get a few first downs for the New Orleans Saints. But I don't look at Derek Carr as a guy that's going to put a team on his back. I don't see how anybody, like, honestly, at this point, from what we have seen from guys like a guy like Derek Carr so far, like, what have you seen to say that this guy can put a team on his back? Like that, this defense is the catalyst of this team. And honestly, I don't see it. I don't see Derek Carr taking this team and putting it on his back to lead them anywhere. I feel like as long as the Saints are like knee deep in the game or nip tuck in the game, the defense can make a stop and maybe he can make a throw to convert on a third down or something like that, or move the chains. But I don't look at Derek Carr as a game changer. I don't look at him as a guy that's going to lead the team anywhere. He's a game manager, in my opinion. What have you seen to say that he's not? Let's see. No, I haven't seen enough yet from our offense. Our defense can't afford to fall off. Yep, if the defense fall off, that's a wrap. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Like, we already seen that. Like, we seen that this offense doesn't have what it takes, to be able to, they don't have what it takes to be able to lead this team. Not at this stage. So the way that I look at it, this defense has to play pretty much lights out, in order for this offense to be able to figure it out. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see. I already read that one. It says, with Carr being a game manager quarterback, is that on him or PC? That's P. Carmichael. That's P. Carmichael. I think that you can see a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I think that you can see a little bit more from a guy like, Derek Carr, if, we had a different coordinator. But if you look at it, and if you want to be honest, like, every quarterback outside of Drew Brees has looked like a game manager running his offense. So there you go. With Carr being a game manager, I already read that one. Let's see. I agree with TJ. I haven't seen enough from Carr. Yeah, I don't get it, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, I like Derek Carr, you know what I'm saying, as far as like his confidence in himself, but I don't really look at Derek Carr as a guy that can just put a team on his back. I just don't. He's just not that guy. He probably can do it a game or two, but I can't see him doing this consistently. Like, to me, Derek Carr is I'll say he's a much better version of Ryan Tannehill, if that makes any sense. Like, Ryan Tannehill is one of those system guys who, you put a system around him, he'll be able to execute it. But when it comes to Derek Carr, like, I feel like Derek Carr can do just a little bit more, but I don't see too much of a guy where I feel like, oh, he can put the team on his back. Like, I feel like anybody that's saying this at this point is probably somebody that's buying into the narrative of the stats that Derek Carr came to New Orleans with. Like, oh, he was a high completion percentage guy. Oh, he was a high touchdown, low interception guy, like that kind of stuff. But as we can see, as we watching games and we're looking at quarterbacks, sometimes those stats don't always tell the whole entire story. Sometimes those stats can make you look better than what you actually are. And right now, I'm looking at Derek Carr. I'm wondering, are those stats making him look better than what he actually is? So I don't know. I don't see Derek Carr putting anything on his back at this point. Maybe later on in the season, once he's fully acclimated with the offense and has a connection with his wide receivers and Alvin Kamara throwing the ball to him. But right now, I don't see him putting anything on his back. Long, they don't get conservative with the play calling, and hopefully Carr stop taking sacks and just throw the ball away. Yeah, holding on to the ball too long sometimes. I mean, the offensive line gave him plenty of time last week, which, I have an appreciation for. We've been criticizing these guys for I don't know how long. And quite frankly, they deserve some big ups. They did a really good job last week. See, what up, TJ? Who that nation? I'm honestly not expecting the same offensive output like last week. It would be nice if we can duplicate that performance, though. Look, I don't need them to replicate a 34-point performance. I don't. Like, I just want to see them execute, right? I just want to see the running game being efficient. I want to see them be able to throw the ball, get Chris Olave involved, get some of your playmakers involved. Like, it's a doggone shame you're not seeing Rashid Shaheed be able to like do so many dynamic things. Like I just feel like if you put Rashid Shaheed in a Rams uniform with Sean McVay, if you put him in a Chiefs uniform with Andy Reid, like if you put Rashid Shaheed in a 49ers offense, like this dude would probably be like one of the best players in the entire league. Like he has that type of talent. I feel the same way when it comes to Chris Olave. I just think that the Saints offense is just too vanilla. Like I just really do. I feel like there's not much creativity when it comes down to it. Now, some people will point to last week, but once again, I go back to my statement. It's because everybody was criticizing this offensive staff. So all of a sudden, like you start digging in the crates, you start looking at old high school games, you start pulling out old tape, you start watching film of other teams and what they did to make it successful. But my thing is, why did they have to take all that in order for you to be able to do it in the first place? Get these guys involved, man. I just feel like I feel like we're selling these guys short and we're wasting these guys years where they can be extremely productive and really solidify themselves as some of the top offensive weapons in the league because the Saints offense is just too damn conservative. Like I stand by that. Like they really just need to step it up. We don't need watch this moments, right? We need to see consistency on the offensive side of football. If you get offensive efficiency, then I think that this can be a dominant team. There's no reason why the Saints should have the talent that they have, and we're wondering how many points they can put up a game. Like that is ridiculous that you have all this talent. Like the biggest issue we've had over the past few years was having the talent, but them not staying on the field. But now the talent is staying on the field, but you still aren't getting these guys involved. We got to figure this thing out because you're basically just wasting these guys' valuable years and you're wasting these guys' talent if you're not putting them in a position to be successful. So it's not just about burning a midnight oil because everybody wants to see you go. It's about burning the midnight oil even when people aren't saying your name at all. I hate how Pete not using Shaheed though. I like I said, you'll see Rashid Shaheed 1 or 2 splash plays, right? And then all of a sudden you don't see him for the rest of the game. This guy should be a part of the offense. Like you should be able to use him in a multifaceted of ways. And they are robbing the Who Dat Nation and they're robbing Rashid Shaheed and they're robbing themselves out of great opportunities offensively by not utilizing this kid. I don't understand it. Like every opportunity that you give him, he knocks it out the park. You put him out there on special teams, he returns a kick. You expect for him to throw and you want to throw him the ball and get him behind the defense. He catches the ball. Like it's not like he's dropping passes here. Like he doesn't drop passes. Every time like you put him in space, like he takes advantage of the situation, rather it's a jet sweep, rather, like he's, doing all these different things, you know what I'm saying, wide receiver screens or what have you. He takes advantage of those opportunities. So my question is, why aren't you utilizing this guy the way that you should? Like this guy can be like one of the best players in the league. Like he has that type of talent. But as long as you want to put him on the shelf and, keep on going with the status quo with these same, complacent vanilla ass plays, like you're going to continue to have these issues, man. And as we can see, man, the NFL is changing. Like you'd rather you got to evolve with the times or you're going to get left behind. I don't think it's a coincidence that we saw the Denver Broncos on TV on Thursday night and they only put up 8 points. That's a Sean Payton offense. P. Carmichael running a Sean Payton offense, and they're not generating results because they're still stuck in them same ways. Like it's okay to be stuck in your ways, but it's also be able to add to it. You got to be able to be open, right? It's like the older people, I ain't trying to mess with no computers. I ain't trying to mess with no cell phone. I ain't trying to, like, come on, you got to get with the times. The time's going, pass you by, right? That's just the how it work. I mean, you gotta be able to adapt. If not, you're just gonna, fall off. Let's see. Did you watch the Baltimore Ravens on NFL Network? I'm getting ready to watch the Saints NFL Sunday Ticket is a blessing for free. Yeah, Jules, I watched the game. I actually watched the whole entire game, man. That was a good game right there. I like the way that Lamar Jackson played today. I like how the offensive coordinator is not looking for him to run. They're looking for Lamar to make plays in the pocket. I like that. And also I like the way that they have a good balance of run, and they got some really good talented guys out there. That was a good football game, man. Got interesting towards the end. Ryan Tannehill got hurt. Malik Willis comes into the game. Tajay Spears had a big run. So, yeah, I liked it. Let's see. Pete doesn't use any of the weapons. He will go to all game. Then the next game, not use them at all. That's why I say it's inconsistent. You got to be able to burn the midnight oil and figure out ways to get these guys opportunities to make plays. Like, everybody is shocked that, Derek Carr shovel pass off to Foster Moreau. Like, that's sad. Like, if you think about how many teams like utilize the shovel pass these days, but we up here looking like we just reinvented the wheel around this joint or something. Like, it's sad, man. Like, coming to the 21st century. How about, come through with some offensive innovation? And if you don't have anybody on your staff like that, how about implementing a guy? You know what I'm saying? How about having a guy, one of those little interns and stuff like that with aspirations of being a coach? How about have him taking a look at some of these other games and what these other teams are doing well, and bring it to the meetings. Like, come on and find ways to be creative, man. Don't just be stuck in the Stone Age and with the same, simplistic plays, man. Teams have seen that stuff over and over again. And they got ways to stop that 3 and 4 times over. What I don't understand that the team wins 34-0 and you still can't be happy. Who said anything about not being happy? Who said anything about not being happy? But that's just the way that people go sometimes, But here's the reality for me: when they don't successfully do anything, when they go back and revert back to some of the things that you've seen, my only suggestion to you is don't come on here and say anything at all about it. It's just that point, period. Because if you're going to have a complaint and a gripe about a team, and all of a sudden, like, you get 1 week where they just seem like everything come together. Oh, I'm supposed to be quiet now? Nah. All right. That's not how it works. Right. I mean, all right, let's use this example, right? Let's just say, for example, you change the spark plugs in your car and you forget to tighten up one of the spark plugs in there, right? Theoretically, your car can still run, but it's going to shake every time you do it because it's going to do something called a misfire, right? So what are you supposed to do? Oh, at least I'm driving. At least I'm driving. I'm good, right? I got me to my destination. Are you going to stop? You're going to stop your car, get that wrench and tighten up that spark plug, or you're going to just be okay with just driving the car and shaking every time and misfiring just because you can actually travel from one place to another? Like, it don't work like that. This team needs to be consistent. I'm sorry if that's an issue. Yeah, I'm sorry that we're supposed to dance around and skip around the Benson Boogie, even though there are still opportunities for these guys to improve. If they consistently improve week after week, I wouldn't be saying these things. But 1 week of offensive efficiency does not equate for the ineptitude that we've seen offensively. So that's just the reality. I'm not sitting up here and my emotions are not from week to week. Like, some people, emotions are week to week, but not mine. Maybe yours is, but mine is not. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend, okay? All right, if they consistently put forth these efforts, then I will gladly come on here and say they turned the corner. But we only seen 1 week where they put up 34 points for the third time in 2 years. But you're okay with that. Okay. In week 6, and TJ, it's now or never, and the offense are going to take the next step. The Texans defense is feisty, but we should be able to make plays today. Well, it should be able to make plays, but it's all about, being efficient and being able to do some of the things that we seen last game, and also be able to add to it. Now, you had opportunities where the game could have been a little bit, the score could have been a little bit more lopsided, like I said, that Chris Olave catch, or, the Jimmy Graham conversion. He could have caught that pass on third down, would have been a first. But, you got to just be consistent. Let Kamara run those drags and option routes in the middle. Play aggressive with the pass. Let's see. Yeah, it's horrible to have more wins than losses, but yes, consistency is needed. I don't think any of us mad about the win. We are just mad because this team is way better, and I truly think that we still haven't reached the full potential yet. Yeah, that's my whole point. Like I'm happy about the things that I've seen, but I'm not about to sit up here and absolve them of what they've been doing because they had 1 week of efficiency. Like I don't understand that, man. Like people want you to be quiet about certain situations, man. I don't know, man. I guess this that modernized mentality right there. Like people don't want nobody to say anything to them, even though you know they may not be doing things the right way or things may not be as consistent. They don't want anybody to say anything to them, especially like if they did something good today, they don't want you to talk about nothing yesterday at all. But that's how you just set yourself up for disappointments. Because as for me, I'm trying to get better every single day of my life. I'm not concerned about, I was good on Saturday, man. I'm not trying to be that way on Sunday. I'm good. No, man, it's about consistency. It's about consistency. If you're not going to be consistent in no parts of your life, if you're only good for 1 week, if you're only good for 1 day, if you're only good for 1 minute, if you're only good for 1 hour, guess what? You have an account for anything. It's about constantly being consistent. So if this team constantly be consistent, guess what? Wouldn't have this issue. But what I'm looking forward to, I'm looking for the defense to be able to get pressure on CJ Stroud. I'm looking for some disciplined defense. This is a smart guy with the football. He doesn't really make too many mistakes. He has the ability to be able to scramble outside the pocket. The Saints have got to be able to play discipline, especially in the secondary. They got to be able to neutralize the run. And also offensively, they got to be able to push the ball down the field a little bit. You know, if you push the ball downfield using guys like Shaheed, using guys like Olave, that'll open up opportunities for guys like Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara to make plays, and you'll be able to see them be able to get some of those long yards, something the Saints haven't been consistently doing throughout the season. I feel like the New Orleans Saints should win this football game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be exciting. I think that both teams are going to try to put forth their best effort, and it should be a really good game because both of these teams are really, really good and they have a lot of fight in them. But we will be back for the halftime show here on the State of the Saints podcast. Hope everybody enjoys the game. You can interact with me throughout the game by following me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at TJAYJones8. I will be discussing the game, of course, and hopefully I see you there. Till next time, all I can say is, who dat?